We got a lot to talk about on the show today. We talk extensively about Darren Peterson, Bill Self, load management, his future in the NBA. A lot of good stuff, a lot of good insight from KD there. Plus, we talk about Mick Cronin, him pulling off his player from the floor after a hard foul. We get to things looking forward in the second half of the NBA season. Can OKC and the Spurs battle it out for number one? What's going to happen there? We talk big time about the Celtics and Jayson Tatum's possible return. So all that stuff and more coming up next on the show. Before we send you over to the show, want to make sure you're subscribing to the YouTube channel. Check it out right here. We would love your subscription. Make sure you're hitting the bell for the notification, so anytime that we drop something, you guys are the first to know. Make sure you like it. Make sure you push it out so other people can find our content as well. And if you're listening on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, on wherever it is that you listen, make sure to give us 5 stars. Make sure to review everything that we do so you can push it out to more people. So with all that said, let's start the show. Katie's second half of the NBA season starts tonight.
Yes,
we got
sir.
a bunch of good games in the NBA, and we'll get to some NBA topics later on in the show. What I want to start off, Rip. Fun night in college basketball last night.
Yeah, man.
We had a lot of good games. We almost had a 50-piece.
Yeah.
A-Cuff over for the Razorbacks. That was a fun night. Darren Peterson scores 23 points in 18 minutes. And that's kind of where I want to start, because you hear, wow, he had 23 points in 18 minutes. He must have been all over the place. Like, did he get hurt? Did something happen? He's like, yeah, I think he got hurt. I don't know if he got hurt. He might have gotten hurt. He might have had cramps. We don't know for 100%. Bill Self had some interesting comments. What do you think about the Darren Peterson experiment and experience so far in Kansas? Because this is one of a handful of games that he's subbed himself out of. There's games that he doesn't play. There's like a lot of question marks surrounding this kid right now.
I mean, that the situation in Kansas right now is layered, because I understand all sides of it. I think the first side of it is that, like, the kid is a really good player. I mean, he's a bucket. He can play. He can score in bunches. He's an exceptional player. I won't say talent. He's an exceptional player. He just know how to hoop. Mm-hmm. The game is easy for him. I think he's very competitive when he plays. I think he's very skilled, very talented. I think he plays on both ends of the floor. I think he has a very unique game. It's very easy for him to get buckets. Here's where I think the layers kind of change. When you're talking about a guy who could be a potential number one pick, a franchise changer, I want to see those intangibles that don't necessarily just show up in the stat sheet. Like, right, how do you handle adversity? How do you push through fatigue or injuries? How do you what type of leader are you? Mm-hmm. How do you give yourself to the team? So those are some questions that I have about him right now. And there's a lot of other talented freshmen out there who I feel like, could be
Fit
considered.
the bill a little bit better.
Yeah. But also I understand as well is that, like, college is not where he's going to make his money. The kid is going to be a number one or the number two pick, right? And he'll probably make, a couple $100 million if he's able to stay healthy. So I think he's doing like load management and kind of preserving his body. I don't know if he's feeling something internally. But whatever he's doing, I think Bill Self is really handling it in an incredible way. The reason why I say Bill Self is handling it a great way is, one, because he's old school. He's won championships and things like that. And he's one of the old school coaches who've been able to adjust to this new era of player. Mm-hmm. And he's doing a great job with the media. He's doing a great job of letting the kid, pull himself out and not throwing him under the bus like some of the other coaches are doing, pulling kids off the court and
that Mick Cronin thing was crazy.
But Mick been a beast, man. Mick, I've known Mick.
We'll get to Mick in a second.
Yeah,
let's stick here.
So Bill Self has done a fantastic job with that. I know it's frustrating for him, but I think at some point, it'll all click. I think in the tournament, I think he'll try to turn it up. The danger with trying to turn it up is that the things that you was trying to preserve yourself from, that's when usually injuries can happen. Mm-hmm. But it has risen, some question marks about, like, him and his mentality. Yeah. And if we're going to say he's the next Kobe, that mentality don't look Mamba-ish.
No, it does not whatsoever. And you said layered, and I think that's a very good way to put it, because I think there's a multifaceted kind of way, 3D chess, 4D chess way to look at this. I understand you're nice. I understand you have the talent and the game to be a number 1, 2, 3, a top 5 pick in this league. Mm-hmm. what I want to see is, like you said, I want to see you try. Because if I'm a scout, if I'm a front office member, and I see you pulling yourself out of the game with 18 minutes left in the second half in a game that you won by 12, but like, you know what I mean? Like Oklahoma State's not a very good team.
Yeah.
I don't like the fact that I don't know if I can rely on you.
Yeah.
Like if you're giving me 40 a night, minutes wise, like I understand there's a certain threshold in the NBA that body wise, fatigue wise, you hit that rookie wall, and you can speak to it.
Yeah, man.
You hit that rookie wall, and it's like, damn, I've never played this many games in my life. Not only that, I'm traveling basically every single night. My legs aren't there. I'm maybe not sleeping as well as because I'm just traveling too much. I got up in the air. I'm back. I'm trying to get my body right. Like all these different things. And if you have a struggle with the 30 some odd games in college basketball and you're not playing the entire time, what are you going to do when the face of the franchise, you look up at the pictures on the walls at the arena and it's you and everybody's looking at you to be like, you're the guy.
Yeah.
You got to play 82 and be our star. Like that's a heavy load to carry.
It is. And the thing about him as well is like, to me, he's a skilled player, right? I don't think he's like a freak of nature athletically. I think, Caleb Wilson is more athletic. I think AJ Debanza is more athletic. I think there's guys who are in that top 7 who are more athletic.
Is Boozer more athletic?
Well, Boozer is like what,
he's
6'10"?
Yeah, he's a
right.
Brawler.
He's a banger. He's not just a banger because he can play from the outside.
But
he
he's
has
just
a
big
body
boy.
style.
Yeah,
he's not a wing.
He's a post player, right?
He's even though he can shoot, he's a winner. Right. I'm concerned about him, and here's why. Because history will tell you when guys have like mental things that you can't necessarily explain, you have number 1 picks like Markelle Fultz. You have, the Ben Simmonses of the world. You have guys who were number 1 picks that was missing something, right?
I mean, it wasn't a number 1 pick, but Bees was a number 2 pick.
Yeah, for sure. There's guys who could be missing something. And to me, he's opening himself up to be critiqued a little bit more.
Yep.
And this draft is talented enough, man. There's some there's some guards in this draft. There's some players
killers in this draft.
In this draft, man, who like can change your franchise, right? And if it's just too many question marks right now about him, and I'm worried about him.
No, I agree 100%. Like you said, your game can only take you so far, and you can speak to it. Professional basketball is a business.
Man, it's hard too.
It's about playing basketball, sure, but it's everything else that comes with you being a business of your own, right? Like your body is your business, your mind is your business. The way that you conduct yourself with people, with the media, with your coaches, with the front office, with the players in your locker room, that's all part of what it is that is a singular thing.
Tone, I got a question for you. Let's turn the tables a little bit.
Talk to me.
Have you ever seen somebody who's like real cool, real smooth, real chill, like, nah, I'm cool, I'm cramping, I'm cool. Have you ever seen one of those guys become an elite player? See, if you have to think that hard.
No, you're 100% right. Those guys can be elite for a period.
They might have
but they're not
window.
the guys that are elite for a long time.
Yeah.
Those are not the guys, like you said, those aren't the Kobes, those aren't the D-Wades, those aren't the LeBrons, those aren't the, you name it. Any GOAT of their era, right? Those are not those guys.
Yeah.
You know it because you've been in those locker rooms, you've coached, you've played.
Yeah.
You've seen these guys in person. Like the guys that we talk about that get memorialized in the Hall of Fame, that their names live forever, are dogs.
Yeah. To be honest with you, bro, I think he's played himself out of the number 1 pick.
You gotta at this point you gotta look at it. If you're a front office guy right now, you're the Utah Jazz, you got the number 1 pick. You're looking at this kid like, I don't know.
I'm not taking him.
I don't know. Right?
I'm not taking him number 1.
And it's not like a definitive thing of like, I know he's not a good guy, or I know he's doing X, Y, and Z.
Bill Self said he's great to coach. He works hard. He's coachable. He listens.
It's the reasonable doubt.
Yeah.
It's like, ooh, I don't know what it is. I can't put my finger on it, but I don't want to find out.
Yeah.
Because then I'm going to be in a $100 million investment on something that's a lemon that is not going to work out for me.
Yeah.
And now this entire tanking process, all the stuff that we, gave to have this pick to change our franchise, to change our future for the next 10 years, doesn't work.
And just to kind of go back to this last point, he is not as athletic. He's not athletic enough to cruise. On this level, he might be able to get away with that, but on the next level, the guys are just too good, too fierce, too athletic,
fast,
too determined.
Yep.
Like they're too focused. So if he doesn't like kind of rewrite his story before it's too late, I think you could see him slipping in the draft.
And I've been a proponent on my show, 10 Tony Show. I'm a big proponent of, if I've got the number 1 pick, the return on investment for that number 1 pick rarely pans out, right? Like if I've got the number 1 pick in the NFL draft this year, I'm looking at Fernando Mendoza and I'm like, I like the story. He's a great kid. All accounts is he's an amazing person. He's all these different things. But what I can get for the perceived value of this number 1 pick beats what I can actually draft with that number 1 pick. Because if I'm the Kings, I can get a King's ransom for the number 1 pick this year. And all of a sudden, I'm getting picks for this year, next year, the year after that, the year after that. I'm getting players. I'm getting all of this stuff to fix my roster that is flawed, where I can look at it and say, all right, I'm missing out on a headache, but look at all the treasure trove of things that I just got. Look how the Thunder were built. Look how the Celtics were built. Look how what Utah is doing right now with Ainge. Like, there's a way to build in this NBA, right? Going out and getting the free agent that hits the open market doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
You need capital. You need draft capital to be able to go, all right, Milwaukee, you guys want 6 picks for Giannis? Perfect. Here we go. I got this. Pack it up. Send them over to me. Like, let's go. And when you have somebody like Darren Peterson, who could be, again, he could prove both of us wrong.
I hope he does.
I hope he does. But the blueprint is there for there to be a reasonable doubt for me to not be comfortable taking that number 1 pick.
I just don't want to hear you guys, I hear a lot of people talking about he's like the coldest like wing since Kobe. Like with that skill set, like come on, dog. Like don't try being like that.
Like what, come on.
Yeah.
Come on. What are we doing? What are we doing?
And hopefully, these kind of conversations inspire him, because there's going to be a lot of people
questioning him.
It's going to be a lot of people, especially on television, guys who played the game. Like, no, dog. Like, you got to tighten up. You know what it's like? Yeah, bro.
You know what it's like?
You got to tighten up.
Every time you would get to the next level, you would look back and be like, damn, that was so easy, right? When you're in high school, middle school was easy. AAU ball was easy. When you got to college, you were like, damn, high school was easy. They're killing me out here.
Yeah.
And you just told me before the show, NBA was hard.
Boy, it was hard.
NBA, the NBA is hard, but you don't know how hard it is to stay in the NBA.
Boy.
You look back in college, you're like, damn, that was easy.
Yeah, it was hard. It was
and at a certain point, he's going to catch up and look around and be like, I should have pushed myself a little bit more.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
It's like one of those smart kids. You see a smart kid in class who is kind of maybe joking around, playing around, being class clown a little bit too much. You know he's smart enough, or she's smart enough to be, a straight A student, but they just don't do it. And then they get to a certain point, and you're like, damn, I probably should have studied a little bit harder. I probably should have done a little bit more.
Yeah.
And it feels like that's where Darren Peterson's looking at, where he's going to get to the NBA game, 47 and be like,
yeah,
we still got how many more games left?
Yeah.
We still got 35 games left here?
Yeah.
Damn.
And it's so weird because like when he's in competition, like, dude, he's competing.
Yeah.
It's not that I'm talking about, right? It's like he gets to this point and I don't know what happens in his body. That causes a concern for me. Is he not hydrating enough?
Right.
Is he not flexible enough? If he's not eating enough, getting the proper sleep? Does he have like this malfunction when he gets fatigued?
Right.
I'm looking at all
stress
these
on
different,
the body. Right.
I'm looking at all these different things, and I just think that there are so many young players in this draft where they could, his questions make them more valuable.
And that's a great point about the hydration, like taking care of your body. Like, how much it is to take care of your body in that league. Your body is your paycheck.
Facts.
Like, and if I'm not doing the work that I need to do at home, eating right, making sure I'm stretching, making sure I'm doing recovery, making sure I'm hydrating, all these different things go into, all right, what's your paycheck going to be at the end of the year? Because if I was joking around, didn't stretch, didn't hydrate the way I want to, or the way that I needed to have the exuding, body release of water that we go through on a daily basis in the NBA, like, that's on me. That's on me. That's me not doing my homework when I get home to make sure that I'm in the best place that we could be. Switching gears really quick from the coaching perspective, you talked about Bill Self. There's an interesting change that's happening, right, with the NIL era, with this collection, this generation of collegiate players, where the control, and you could speak to your college coach and probably multiple college coaches, the guys that you played with, the control that college coaches had in the locker room with players, the amount of rigidity that was in those programs is now basically completely stripped bare.
Yeah.
Because now the player comes in and is like, yeah, you're paying me $1.5 million to be here. And guess what? If I feel like, things aren't going the right way, I'm out. Like I don't like the way you run your program. I'm here for a year. I average 15-7. I'm gonna go over here and do it over at another place that's gonna pay me another $1.5 million, and I may like the coach there, I may not. So speak to the coaching of the generation that you were in and how you see that differentiating from this generation.
Look, I think sometimes we look at it just from the players' lens because they're getting paid now. But man, a lot of coaches were very abusive, verbally abusive.
Bobby Knight physically abusive.
Yeah, some was physically abusive. Like they were dictators, right? And you would kind of be stuck. So there was a lot of players who would shut down, who would give up on their dreams. Like there's a difference between being coached up and coaches like really treating you like crap. And I've seen coaches do that. And because the players in the NIL is here now, coaches have to adjust and they have to adapt. You can't just develop these guys from a place of dictating and like from a tyrant place. You actually have to coach them and get them to buy in. And there's a lot of coaches who are able to do that, right? And that's why a lot of guys go and play for these guys who they allow to coach them. So I think it's a balancing act. But look, go ask anybody who played back in the days. Some of the things that coaches put their bodies through, their minds through, some of the conversations and some of the lashing outs that coaches would do to us, you would be really surprised. And a lot of guys probably don't even think about that anymore. But there was plenty of times where, like coaches could be unhinged.
Yeah, I bet. And speaking of unhinged, we have Mick Cronin over the past little
big Mick, big little Mick.
So where do you so you said it like you knew Mick.
I know Mick, man, from back in the days.
Okay, give me so if you didn't know, UCLA was playing Michigan State, battle of two great coaches, Izzo, Cronin, two legendary programs in college basketball. UCLA was down big, 20 some odd points. We got a breakaway for Michigan State. He's going up for a dunk. Two UCLA guys go to contest it. One guy hits him a little bit hard. For me, I didn't think maybe a flagrant one in this day and age. Maybe I thought it was a hard foul, but
I thought the foul in the Big East the other day was a little bit
worse.
More,
yeah,
more worse.
100%.
And Kim English, came to the defense of his player. But just knowing Mick from over the years, man, he was like an assistant at Cincinnati.
He's self-ejected, by the way. So if you don't know the story, like he came out, the refs didn't eject the player. Mick Cronin grabbed him and said, "You're out of here."
Yeah.
So finish.
Yeah, but I mean, look, I don't have a problem with it. I really don't, because that's how he felt in that moment. And if you know anything about that guy, man, he's a very emotional coach. And that's why a lot of people kind of gravitated to him. That's why he's been able to coach so long. That doesn't define him, in its entirety in that moment. But also like the way that Mick has been kind of dealing with the media and things like that, you could just see the frustration kind of brewing. No pun intended, but it's looking a little rough over there for him.
Yeah, he snapped back on one of the reporters and was like, "Are you raising your voice at me?"
Yeah.
He said that time we played it on the Lemon Tart show the last couple of times. It was like, "Yeah, you did. You raised your voice at me."
Yeah.
The guy said, "Oh, my bad." That's the snap where he looked back over to him was great.
And I think Hoiberg, like somebody
with the slapping of the phone,
so
a lot of things happen in college basketball.
It really is. It really is, man. It's fun. Like college basketball to me, it feels like an era of like when I was growing up, and the Big East had like Allen Iverson and Ray Allen and Kerry Kittles and Lawrence Moten, and they had all these great players in these different conferences. So it's dope to see, the ACC had, Carolina and Duke and all the great players that played in those eras. So it's just great to see college basketball. We're talking about it in a positive way. The thing that I do like that I'm watching in college basketball is that I see the skill level going up, right? A lot of times during the tournament, it's so frustrating because like it could be so much physicality and so many.
You get the 32-27 game and you're like, oh.
So, like, to see the coaching, I feel like the coaching is actually starting to evolve as well and playing to the strength of the players. So, kudos to college basketball. I like what they're doing.
Yeah, there's been so much more equity now because of the NIL and because of what, coaches have been able to promise and deliver to players, right? We were just talking about it. AJ DeBansa, never in a million years would he have gone to BYU, right? A kid from Boston would have ended up in the Big East, would have ended up in one of these big-time schools. and he's all the way out west in BYU. You've got all these different players in all these different places that are not traditional powers. You know what I mean? And it's like, it really has given equity and a little bit of parity to college basketball, because basically if you were great, you were going to go to one of like 5 schools, right? Like you were going to go to Duke, Carolina, UCLA, Arizona, UConn, you know, one of these big time programs, Syracuse. So it has been cool to see, with a couple of down drafts, right, in the NBA, where you look at some of the college players and you're like, there isn't really that guy that's head and shoulders above. Like last year, obviously we knew Cooper Flagg was going to be very good, but Stephon Castle's been great, right? And it's like nobody's really talked about a lot of these guys, and a lot of guys come out and surprise you. This year, you look around, you're like, ooh, there's a bunch of guys.
It's the talent, man. I mean, at the end of the day, man, when you have this kind of talent coming into the game at one time, you know, it's fun to watch. And a lot of us have been following these kids, you know, throughout their younger days, their AAU and their high school days. So to see them get on this stage and deliver, like it's definitely helped the brand of basketball. And it goes back to one of my original points from a few shows ago, that like don't worry, everybody. The state of United States basketball is okay.
Right.
You look at these youngsters, man. They ain't nothing but the truth. And this next year, man, they got some Stokes and they got some kids coming out like in this next year class as well. That's going to be tough.
Shifting gears over to the NBA, second half of the season starts tonight. A bunch of games in the association. I want to start off in the Rich Paul, Max Kellerman podcast.
Okay, what did Rich say?
Did you hear Rich say that? Forget analytics, forget all these different things. I felt like I was listening to KD. Forget the analytics, forget the pace of play, forget all the math. He said Anthony Edwards is the best player in the league right now with your eyeballs. He said, with respect to Jokic, it's not him. What do you feel about that?
Well, I mean, I disagree with that. I understand, you know, his eye and what he's seeing, because I am a fan of Ant-Man, but I can't crown him yet, right? Jokic is a champion. He is a multiple-time MVP, and I'm not going to take that pedigree away. I feel like you have to earn that, right? But like you can make an argument that Ant is one of the best players in the game, even if it's not statistically, his impact, right? Because we talk about
Style
the statistics
too,
on the offensive end, but like we minimize like leadership. We minimize what he does on the defense. You know, we minimize you know, all those different components outside of just the gameplay. And there's some people who might look at me crazy, but I know we talked about this over the time. But I like Ant more than I like Luka.
Are we ready to have this discussion?
I would rather have Ant on my team than Luka.
And when we had this discussion, I took the Luka side and I said he's probably one of the most generationally gifted offensive players we've ever seen, right? Like of the likes of James Harden. When you look at what he's able to do, the bag that he has, the ability that he has to create any shot he wants at his size and his speed, which is not much, but I think that adds to it, where just like Paul Pierce, like Paul was big. Paul was 6'8", right? Paul was not a fast dude. Paul was crafty. Paul could get to his spots. Paul was able to do things that at his size and speed, he shouldn't have been able to do. As somebody who played with him and saw him, you know that's true, right?
Yeah, Paul was super nice.
Luka is like that, but like on steroids.
Yeah, and off the bounce. Paul was more triple threat.
Right. His ability to create where he's got the ball in his hands and basically plays point guard is something that we've kind of only seen of that size, and again, he's even bigger.
Yeah.
This is James Harden.
Now, let me,
and LeBron too, but again, LeBron's in his own discussion.
I want to make sure I say this. I didn't say Ant-Man is better than Luka. I said I would rather have him on my team than Luka.
And again, I've been thinking about it since we had this discussion, and I kind of see where you're going.
I mean, and
it's not that you're pulling me over to your side.
No, it's not. It's just my opinion.
No. But I feel you, because there's some things as you continue to kind of see how the season is going and how the trajectory of the Lakers is going. There's certain things that Luka does that I don't really love.
I know.
The arguing with the refs constantly, the berating of
the Matador defense.
The Matador defense. The kind of me ball that he plays a little bit. And we could say getting assists can be selfish.
I mean, we say that Russell Westbrook, like, we minimize the way that he gets assists, right? But then we cover up for other people. It's like we pick and choose. Like, I'm talking about like holistically around the game. If I'm on a team, like there was people who might have been, more talented than some of the guys that I played with, but I would run through a wall for them. Like KG at the end of his career, he was, still a really good player, but he wasn't.
He wasn't KG.
He wasn't like the young KG from Minnesota.
He wasn't big ticket, right?
But I would rather play with him than somebody who was going out and getting 20 and 10. I would, it's just a personal thing because the way that he was able to inspire, motivate, lead, push, and like he did all these things, bring us together. He did so much more for us than just play the game and go home. Like when I see Ant-Man's teammates, whether he's playing in the All-Star game, whether he's playing on the Timberwolves, whether he's playing on USA Basketball, the way that they look at him and the way that they respond to him and the way that he responds to them, like you don't see people doing that for Luka.
Facts.
And that's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about like Ant not being more skilled and all that. I'm just talking about hooping on both ends of the floor, the locker room, the plane rides, playing through injury, being accountable, having a sense of humor, being athletic, like all these different things that Luka doesn't necessarily like beat him in those attributes. Like I'm just highlighting them.
No, I feel you. You've brought me a little bit over to you.
Yeah, but stay on that side. I get it.
It's not. Again, I feel like I'm in the middle here because I'm looking around. Sean's laughing because I was very staunchly pro Luka like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah,
but you know what? I think a sign of somebody who understands information and can change their opinion on stuff with new information.
It helps.
It's the way that you should be.
Yeah.
Right? If you get some information, regardless of what it is, you get some information that's factual that you can process mentally and be like, you know what? I can change my opinion. I feel like that's the sign of somebody who's grown mentally, who can evolve with new information. And when KD, funny enough, other KD, brought the idea of, hey, like, you guys are talking about us, but have you seen Luka and Jokic play in the All-Star game? Like, they kind of are playing half-assed. Like, why don't we get on them the same way? And then it starts, the avalanche starts hitting like, oh yeah, well, that's true. He doesn't really try here. He doesn't really do this or all these different things. So again, I'm leaning more on the side of like,
but
I get what you're saying.
We'll revisit this. I'm sure Luka's going to do something spectacular and we'll
He's
look at it
leading the
differently.
NBA in scoring. Like he's the best scorer in the league, right? Like that's just point blank period. Like that's what he is. But the intangibles that you talk about, the camaraderie of your teammates, is somebody willing to run through a wall for you. I feel like that's a great encapsulation of how you are as a teammate. Are you about me or are you about we?
Yeah.
And when you're about we, which Ant seems to be about we, even though, obviously to that level, ego, everybody's kind of about me.
Yeah, I mean,
but like
no
if you're about
team,
we, like
it's a me.
It's
a me.
This is a big me.
Yeah. But no, I think these conversations are important because like I don't know, we just pick and choose, like, right? Like the goal is like I look at the kid Cam Thomas, and this kid is like vilified for being able to get buckets.
For a bucket getter, right?
Right, and it's like, why? Like it's an attribute that like everybody can't do. The kid is a young player, so if you put him in the right system and give him an opportunity, you could harness that talent, but he's vilified. I just don't get how we pick and choose with some people and then we look the other way with others.
Yeah. You said this, and I also heard Gil say this on a podcast recently somewhere I think I was on Twitter. I was watching a video of him talking about like, you have these things, and you've said it, like you have these specialists in different areas. You got a defensive specialist, you got a 3-and-D specialist, you got this, you got that. Why do people that play offense and not as much defense get vilified in a way that you wouldn't do to a guy who is let's say a beast too, right? Like his ability to grab rebounds, play defense, get the dirty work done. Guys like Mitchell Robinson. Like, you're not asking Mitchell Robinson to go shoot threes. You're not asking him to go do X, Y, and Z because you know his role. He's going to grab you offensive rebounds.
You're not asking what's his name, Dyson Daniels, to go out and get 20.
Right.
But they paid him damn near what, 80 to 100 million.
Yeah, right. And he can still get you that 20.
Not as easy. Not as easy.
But like, Cam. Of course, 100%. But he will lock you down.
He will.
And it's like you have that a great example. Dyson Daniels, who could be Defensive Player of the Year one day, versus Cam Thomas, who got cut from a team that is terrible.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. I mean,
it's crazy.
You know, I mean, look, scores like I remember. I know
scores are hated. Scores are hated, KD.
The comment they gonna eat me up in the comments because I keep making references to back in the days. But there was this guy when we were coming up called the Microwave, Vinnie Johnson, and he played with like one of the best backcourts in the '80s with Isaiah Thomas and Joe Dumars, both Hall of Famers, right? And the Microwave would come off the bench and straight get buckets, and they would let him, and he wouldn't play a long time. But it was
he was effective, right?
Lou Will, Jamal Crawford. You mean to tell me that Cam Thomas, a guy who averaged 25, who gets buckets, you can't figure a way to get him
into your system,
and cultivate him and teach him how to play defense? Hey, man, come on now.
That's for more on coaches. That's for more coaches in front office to get. A lot of them are trying to fit a round peg in a square hole when it's like, you got to understand what people do great and be able to work around that.
Yeah.
Right? Like James Harden tries on defense sometimes, but for the majority of the time,
James going to get you a bucket.
He is what he is.
Yeah, he going to get you a bucket.
And a lot of coaches tried to like force him in certain ways, and that's when he's like, all right, I'm out. Like, this isn't working for me.
Well, I think James said the other day, loyalty,
this is
overrated.
Yeah, he said this is a business.
So I don't think he leaves because he doesn't want to play defense. I think he leaves because he feels like there's a better opportunity for him to make money in a better situation in a window of time.
Right.
So I think he's like under that mantra.
Looking forward to the next 41 games here of the second half of the season. There's a couple things that I was thinking of as far as storylines that we can kind of draw from to project the next couple of games. One of them is the race for the number one seed in the West, which we didn't think was going to be
a race at all, right?
A race at all, with OKC being obviously what they were in the first half of the season. Second half of the first half of the season, they really started to tail off with some injuries and just kind of what felt like they were coasting for a little bit, but just because they had so many injuries, there's only so much you can do. But it feels like the Spurs, if they can really push the pedal to the metal, they may be able to catch up to OKC. And if the Spurs get the number one seed and get home court through the playoffs, that is going to be a tough task for OKC to try and go and win in San Antonio.
Yeah. I mean, they have the capacity to do it. I think that West, man.
I'm going to see how close they are right now.
That top four is tough, man. And, you just never know in the playoffs in the second half of the season with injuries and how teams like kind of heat up.
They're 3 games back.
They're 3 games back.
That is striking distance with 41 games to play.
Yeah.
That is very much striking distance. So OKC, obviously J-Dub has been in and out of the lineup all year.
They've been banged up.
SGA's been hurt. Chet, Caruso, Dort, Case and Wall, like all these guys have been in and out of the lineup with certain things. When I tell you that San Antonio's 3 games away, and they're playing really good basketball, 8-2 to close out in their last 10. And Wemby is just kind of he's like lurking.
Yeah,
he's just always lurking in the background.
He is. And man, like we don't talk enough about, that core group of guys who are surrounding Wemby. Like, because even when he's out, they still go out and win games. Yep. They have a lot of good players.
And they're young.
They have a lot of good players. Their coach, like, he's coaching his behind off.
Yeah,
he is really doing a good job of bringing all the elements together, developing the talent, and then also giving them all freedom, right? Giving them all freedom to be able to, like, play in their spots. He's putting them in great positions to be successful. And then a lot of guys have sacrificed, right? Like Johnson was a guy who you thought would probably be a 1 or 2 option early in his career. And he had to kind of redefine his game in order to fit in with that system. Now he brings a different level of slashing and physicality because you got all these other weapons and they embrace it.
Yeah.
We talk about the Heat culture a lot. the Spurs culture.
They have similar things, yeah.
Yeah, they're very similar, and they're doing a great job. That's why I picked them to come out the West this year.
Yeah, you did.
I'm picking them to come out the West.
Spurs, Cavs was your pick. I had Denver and Detroit was my pick for the finals, which we'll update as the season goes on.
Yeah, we'll see where we land.
But the West and the race there is very tight between the Lakers and San Antonio, which is the 5th seed and the 2nd seed, divided by 5 games, right? Like people can get hurt. You can get
That's a lot
on a winning streak, and then all of a sudden those standings start mixing around.
It's a lot of talent.
It's a lot of talent. One of the other things that I wanted to kind of project through the next 41 games, Jayson Tatum getting back to playing some hoops. He was in the G League affiliate team in Maine, working on some 3-on-3, 5-on-5, live drills, live fire. Do you think that it would be prudent for the Celtics to bring him in, bring him off the bench, let him see some live action, getting close to the playoffs as they right now sit as the 2nd seed in the East at 35-19, a season that we all thought was going to be lost for this team. Now all of a sudden they're a number 2 seed, 5.5 games back from the Pistons. Is JT going to mess with the feng shui of this team now that JB is their number 1 guy?
No, I don't think he'll mess with the rhythm and the cadence and the continuity of that team. He's the centerpiece of that team. All right, he is their best player, and he just went through an injury.
But not right now.
Not right now.
He is their best player, but not right now.
He's their franchise player. He's their highest paid player, right?
Got $300 million owed to him.
Okay, so he's their highest paid player. He's their franchise player. What do you do? You tell a franchise player to not come back, right? Because windows close very, very fast, right? And this team has developed and become a 2nd seed without him. Now you can ease them back into it, and like when the game kind of slows down, it's the playoffs, and there's not been a lot of guys who've done it in those moments. Now you can throw him in those 20-minute spurts. He can take like the Darren Peterson, approach, the Darren Peterson approach in the NBA. But they made some nice moves. They are really a legit, title contender this year.
It's crazy to think because beginning of the season we were like, yeah, this is a lost season for them. We could write them off. The East is only X, Y, and Z teams. It's like the Celtics. Joe Mazzulla's. For as much as people like to clown on Mazzulla because he's a very eccentric guy, guy can coach.
He can coach his ass off.
Guy can coach because this team should have been nowhere near where they are in the 2nd seed whatsoever.
And his guys love to play for him, and the media likes engaging with him. Sometimes they don't know if he's being serious.
Mercurial,
yeah, he's doing his thing.
He's his own guy.
Yeah, he's fun to watch.
My only worry with JT is he has that alpha mentality of like, this is my team. But when your body... And you've had injuries where you've been out for a sustained period of time and you're trying to come back in and get back into playing shape, which takes people don't understand like how long that does take to be in live NBA fire and having to have your legs under you and having to have the wind that you usually have playing in and out. It's going to take a little bit of time for him to do it. I think for me is, does he trust his body enough mentally? Right? Like he's gone through the physical reps. You know how it is when you're coming off an injury where if it's an ankle, a knee, a hip, whatever, you give it that second thought of like, ooh, can I do this? What if I push off wrong here? And it's like even a split second of that throws off your entire game. So like that's the only thing that I worry about is him second guessing his ability mentally.
Yeah.
And like that's tough.
Yeah, and it's something that everybody who goes through injuries have to like push and persevere through, right? The question is, do you wait till next year to do it, right? And does that guarantee that you'll be a 2nd seed or be back where you are right now? Like right now, they have an opportunity to compete in the East and make it out the East. They have a championship pedigree team. Like it'll be so much humility, like and buying into the team. If you say, hey, look, guys, I'm not coming to try to be the old JT. I get back to that next year.
I'm not going to shoot 26 shots again.
Yeah, but like I'm going to come in like, they're going to have to guard me. Like I'm going to like I'll come in, I'll rebound. I'll be able to help us defensively, as we're switching 1 through 5. Like, my confidence.
Hit some open shots maybe, yeah.
I can bring some value to the table even if like JB is your year this year. And I think he's humble enough to do that.
Yeah,
I really do. He's a quiet superstar, so you don't really kind of know his personality. But like for some reason, man, I just feel like, knowing his pops and, I've been on panels with his mom. I know where he's from. I just feel like he has the kind of temperament to be able to like try and legacy build. If they get another chip, if him and JB get another chip, that elevates their legacy a little bit more.
100%. I mean, that puts you above the likes of KG, Ray Allen, Pierce, who only won one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like when you win two in that,
it's a big deal.
In that building,
it's a big deal.
With that jersey on, that puts you in the upper echelon of teams that have gone through that garden. So it's like it's a very interesting position that they find themselves in, and it just goes to show you like they've got Brad Stevens up in the front office, Mazzulla at coach. Like they've built something that can sustain a guy who makes $300 million be out for a season, and they do not skip a beat.
Yeah.
JB, for whatever reason, had posted on his IG story the splits between when JT was on the floor versus when it was just him, and they're basically identical. So it goes to show you whatever they're doing from a schematic point of view, whatever the blueprint is for their offense and defense, it's very much interchangeable because if you put one guy in and one guy out and you've got the same record and basically the same amount of stats, tells you, hey, you got a good program going on.
Yeah, they got something special.
You guys are all right. You guys are all right. All right, fun night of hoops tonight. Go watch some hoops. We'll be back on Monday with another episode of The Crossover. That right there is KD. Go follow him on all of his socials. Go follow us. Make sure you're rating, subscribing, reviewing to everything that we do. YouTube, Spotify, wherever it is that you get podcasts. Make sure you give us 5 stars. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you put your notifications on whenever we drop something. You guys are locked in on what we're doing. So we appreciate you guys. As always, KD, we'll be back next week, baby. Let's go.
We out.
Come on. Second half of the season. Second half of the season.
Let's rock, champ. Let's rock.